Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at the staff that Brian Daboll has built and the 2022 Giants coaching staff. I really like what Daboll has done, but first, let's take a look at the 2021 coaching staff and the coordinators that Joe Judge had under him, and then we'll highlight the changes that Brian Daboll made once he came over and took over the Giants head coaching job. The head coach was Joe Judge. His first time there, it didn't work out. He had Jason Garrett as his offensive coordinator for the first year and half of the second year, and then Freddie Kitchens took over. Not much change when Kitchens took over as the play caller. The defensive coordinator was Patrick Graham, and that was somebody that Brian Daboll talked about having as his defensive coordinator as long as he didn't take a head coaching job. He interviewed with the Steelers, but then eventually he left to be the Las Vegas Raiders defensive coordinator, so they had to fill that position. And the special teams coach, Thomas McGaughery, he's been with the Giants since 2018, and he is back with the Giants this year under Brian Daboll. And then Rob Sale, he is returning to the college ranks to be a college coach. So let's take a look now at the Giants 2022 coaching staff. Brian Daboll, he is the 20th head coach of the New York Giants. I can't wait to see what he does and how he molds this offense around Daniel Jones like he has talked about. The offensive coordinator is Mike Kafka. He was the passing game coordinator for the Chiefs the past couple of years. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have sung the praises of him. We'll touch on those later in the video. And the defensive coordinator is Don Wink Martindale. He spent the last 4 years as the Ravens defensive coordinator. He is regarded as one of the best defensive coordinators in the National Football League. I can't wait to see his aggressive style of defense play out on Sundays this year. And the special teams coach, Thomas McGaughery, he is back. And the offensive line coach, Bobby Johnson, he was with Brian Daboll in Buffalo. He was their offensive line coach the past 2 years. This year, he will be with the Giants as their offensive line coach, replacing Rob Sale. The quarterback coach, Shea Tierney, he was the assistant quarterback coach for the Buffalo Bills. Now he's moving over as well with Bobby Johnson and Brian Daboll to take over roles with the New York Giants. Mike Groh, he was the Indianapolis Colts wide receiver coach the past 2 years. And the year before that, he was the Eagles offensive coordinator. I like getting a person that has also called plays on this staff. Then Andy Bishk, he was the Texans tight ends coach last year. Running backs coach DeAndre Smith, he has been the Texas Tech's running back coach since 2019. And the director of coach operations, Laura Young, this is the first woman the Giants have had on their coaching staff, and she got started back in 2015 with Rex Ryan. Brian Daboll has said a lot of positive things about her. She will be the director of coaches operations. DB coach Jerome Henderson, he has been with the Giants since 2019. He's going to have some new faces to work with because I don't think James Bradbury is going to be back, so there'll be some new talent in the defensive back room. Andre Patterson, he's been the defensive line coach for the Minnesota Vikings since 2014. They've had one of the best defensive lines in recent memory in NFL history, so I'm excited to see what he does with this new group. And then John Igurugu, he was the most recently Vanderbilt linebacker coach, and some interesting stuff about him. He's worked with Brian Daboll and Wink Martindale. He was with the Buffalo Bills from 2017 to 2020, and before that, he was with Baltimore and worked with linebackers as well with Wink Martindale, who was their linebacker coach before becoming a defensive coordinator. And then Drew Wilkins, the offensive outside linebacker coach, he also came from Baltimore, and there was rumors that if Wink Martindale became a head coach, that he would have hired Drew Wilkins as his defensive coordinators. And I'm excited about him because Wink Martindale has said that he is a young guru and he gets home to players and gets the most out of their players. That's a quick look at the Giants' up-to-date 2022 NFL coaching staff. So get in the comments and grade it for me, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to lean with a strong B+. I really like the hire of Brian Daboll. I'm kind of worried about who's going to call plays. We'll touch on that in a quick second. But I'm going to give it a solid B+. And subscribe today. If you're new to the channel, this is all we do here at New York Giants Now. We react to news, rumors, trade rumors. The NFL draft's just around the corner, so our draft coverage is going to ramp up. And we're trying to get to 6,000 subscribers ASAP, and we need your help. We're just under 200 away. So if you love the Giants and you're looking for a one-stop shop on YouTube when it comes to Giants news and rumors, go down, join the family, and hit that big red button. Brian Daboll was asked about how he built this staff and the ways he went about building it, and he said this: I think what you try to do when you're putting together your staff, you try to put together a group of people that will complement one another, whether that's experience, whether that's energy, whether that's detail, whether that's passion. You don't want to have a cookie-cutter approach and hire everybody that's exactly the same. I think that you have to offset blind spots. And I like the way that he built this staff because he didn't just hire all of his old buddies. He had never worked with Mike Kafka or Wink Martindale. He did bring some guys over from Buffalo that he was comfortable with, and I also like that. But you don't just want to have a staff that are only guys that Brian Daboll has worked with. He's been a long-tenured coach in the NFL, and it shows with all the connections he's been able to have and make and hire this staff. He's the 20th head coach in New York Giants history, and it's time for that coach to get the Giants back on track. He was spent the last 4 seasons as the Bills offensive coordinator, and two of the prior 3 years, the Bills have had the first and second best scoring offense in the National Football League. Hopefully he can come over and be the play caller of the New York Giants. Joe Schoen, he talked about how he didn't want Daboll to be the play caller, and he wanted to be the CEO and have the offensive coordinator call plays, and I just think it's got to be Brian Daboll. But this is what Joe Schoen had to say about who should be the OC and the play caller. I'm not going to rule that out. If for some reason he had to, ideally he doesn't. I would prefer he manages the game. Ideally the offensive coordinator calls the plays, but I'm not going to say that's set in stone because we're going to let Brian make that decision. And at the end of the day, it should be Brian Daboll's decision because he's the head football coach, and the Giants fans, they're going to roll with how well he does or how bad he does, so he should be able to have the autonomy to make the decisions. Brian Daboll got this job because of the type of play caller he was in Buffalo. And it concerns me the fact that we've hired Mike Kafka, who was a great hire, but hasn't been a play caller before. So you're going to tell me you're going to have a first-time head coach who has mainly got this job because he was an offensive coordinator. And then you're going to hire Mike Kafka to be the play caller and the offensive coordinator, a position he has never been in before. I think that's kind of misleading by Shane to say because I think when week 1 of the 2022 NFL season rolls around, that will be Brian Daboll calling the plays, and I like having Kafka on the staff. He's a young mind. The fact that we're going to be able to have a blend of the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs offense, I think that's going to be really interesting on Sunday for the Giants. But who should be the play caller? Let me know. I know we have a lot of Mike Kafka fans in the comment section when we did the video about him being fired. A lot of you guys sung the praises of him. So let me know. Who should be the play caller? Type BD for Brian Daboll or MK for Mike Kafka. And if you missed Valentine's Day or you're wondering, hey, what do I get my boyfriend or my friend or somebody you love a gift for their birthday? Get them this 2-pack of Giants t-shirts deals. They're 25% off, but you got to go to chatsports.com/NYG sale. They had the navy blue one and they got the Giants blue one. It's a really good 2 pairs of shirts. Rarely are you ever going to find 2 shirts for 25% off, and it's a great deal. Go get it, chatsports.com/NYG sale. I will put the link to this site where you just click on it and you'll be able to shop in the comments and the description of this video. Daniel Jones was also asked about Mike Kafka in a recent interview, and he had a lot of good things to say about him. He said this: I think if you look at what they're doing in Kansas City and the success they're having, I think Kafka was a significant part of that. That's exciting for me. We'll get deeper into some of the football conversations and how they see it all working out, but there's a lot of smart football people with a lot of success on this staff. And I 100% agree. Mike Kafka, despite not being an offensive coordinator and a play caller before, he was widely regarded as the next guy on the Kansas City Chiefs staff. If Andy Reid would have left, or if Eric Bieniemy left to get a head coaching job, Mike Kafka would have been the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. And the question remains, will he call the plays? Will Brian Daboll call the plays? But I like the fact that he's worked closely with Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes has talked about how much Mike Kafka helped him learn about the NFL. And Travis Kelce, players all on the Kansas City Chiefs offensive side of the ball, have sung high praises of Mike Kafka. Patrick Mahomes, he said this: he had a big imprint on what I did and developing me to be the player that I am. He stays on me. He preaches the fundamentals. For somebody like me who likes to get away from that sometimes, it's good to have that person in your ear that's just telling you to take what's there. Travis Kelce, he talked about Kafka going to the Giants, and he said this: the New York Giants got an absolute stud. You're going to be prepared. You're never going to feel like you don't have an upper hand against the opponent. And that's something that you don't get throughout the league with every offensive coordinator. The schemes are going to be difficult for defenses to understand, and it's going to make the job for the guys on the field that much easier because of his hard work. The only thing for Kafka is he doesn't have a Patrick Mahomes and he doesn't have a Travis Kelce, but at the end of the day, the Mike Kafka hire was a great move. He's a young mind. He played in the NFL for 6 years. He knows how to connect with players. He knows what an NFL locker room is about. And the fact that he was a quarterback in the National Football League, I really think he's going to be able to help Daniel Jones get the absolute best out of what type of player he can be. The offense will look different no matter who's the play caller, whether that's Mike Kafka or Brian Daboll. You're not going to see the boring old Giants offense that Jason Garrett, ran, and then Freddie Kitchens had to inherit and work with. I'm expecting this offensive line to be much better, and I'm expecting this offense to look much different, kind of a blend of what the Bills and the Chiefs have done the past couple of years. Those have been the prototypes of offense you've been trying to build if you're a head coach in the National Football League, and the fact that you have that type of staff here with the Giants, hopefully they can get that same type of offensive production down the line. But let me know, what's your confidence level in the Giants coaching staff? You have a first-year head coach, you have a first-year offensive coordinator, and you have one of the best defensive coordinators in the National Football League. We'll show some stats of what the Ravens have done under Wink Martindale, but scale it from 1 to 10. 1 being, I have no trust in this staff, I don't believe in him. 10 being, this is the best staff in the NFL. Go and get your votes in right now. Don Wink Martindale, he's taking over as the Giants defensive coordinator, and he is replacing Patrick Graham, who now has that role with the Las Vegas Raiders. And he's been with the Baltimore Ravens, his last job since 2012, where he started as a linebacker coach. He then was promoted to the defensive coordinator in 2018. And in that stretch, since becoming the defensive coordinator in 2018, the Ravens have had one of the best defenses in the National Football League, and players that have played in the Ravens since that stretch of Wink Martindale has been there, they have sung the praises and talked very, very highly of them. The last 3 years, the Ravens have been one of the most aggressive defenses in the National Football League. Wink Martindale loves to crowd the line of scrimmage. He likes to bring more than the offensive line is blocking. He likes to max out blitz. In 2019 and 2020, they had the #1 blitz rate in the National Football League. And then this year in 2021, they had the 6th highest blitz rate in the NFL. And then points per game. In Baltimore, they were the second, third, and second rated scoring defense in the National Football League from 2018 to 2020. And this past year in 2021, with a lot of injuries on that Baltimore Ravens defense, they did take a step back. But at the end of the day, the chunk of the sample size is Wink Martindale is a great defensive coordinator and loves to blitz the passer. So expect a big change up from Patrick Graham, where they ran a lot of the bend but don't break defense. It'll be much different coming up Sundays this year. But who's a better DC? Would you rather have Patrick Graham stayed with the Giants and been their defensive coordinator? Or are you happy that Wink Martindale's coming over and injecting some new blood, some new life, and some new ideas into this Giants defense? Let me know. Type WM for Wink Martindale or PG for Patrick Graham. And hit me up on Twitter, guys. I'm trying to get to 1,000 Twitter followers. I'm almost there. I need your help. So give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_.